So Jeremy says, I predicted in January of 2024 that Tucker would conclude America was the bad guy in World War II. I'm not a prophet. It's just been clear for a long time where this was going. I hate to be the one to say this, Jeremy, but if you go for dinner and at the dinner table, a Nazi sits down, then you don't kick him out. If you don't say, you, the Nazis have no place here, then it's a table of Nazis. Jeremy Boring, co-founder of the Daily Wire, is stepping down from his role as the CEO to focus on creative projects for the company. He told staff in a memo obtained by Axios on Tuesday why it matters. Boring has always been with the Daily Wire since its inception in 2015. He helped grow the outlet from a tiny news startup with $4.7 million in seed funding to a media giant valued at north of $1 billion last year. Caleb Robinson, the company's founding CEO, will become the company's full-time CEO effective immediately. Robinson and Boring have been co-CEOs since 2019. Robinson co-founded the company alongside Boring and the outlet's editor, Emeritus Ben Shapiro. In a note to staff, Boring said he will remain with the company in an advisory role. He will continue to host Daily Wire Backstage, the company's monthly show featuring Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Andrew Klavan. He will focus full-time on creative projects, including the completion of the Daily Wire's TV series, The Pendragon Cycle, in which he serves as director and executive producer. Boring has led the Daily Wire commercial expansion over the last decade, growing from an outlet to a social media publishing brand, streamer, and e-commerce giant. Most notably, he has overseen the creation of the Daily Wire Plus subscription streaming service and Bentkey, the subscription streaming service for kids, where they groom children. He also helped build the company's e-commerce business into a multi-million-dollar revenue line. Robinson and Shapiro plan to continue pursuing a growth investment in 2025. All right, speculate wildly, chat. Why is this happening? We have controversies behind the scenes that we don't know the full story. We know there was a bad breakup between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens that obviously ended in pure animus. We know that there was the Brett Cooper firing or leaving or disassociation, and that was really strange too. She just randomly was like, so apparently they've been like making her best friend learn her mannerisms, almost like a clone, because they don't think of women as people. They think of them as like exchangeable objects. So they had her best friend clone Brett Cooper, and then all of a sudden she just randomly started hosting the Brett Cooper show as Brett Cooper, but she's not Brett Cooper. Like the fans were like, it's weird that that's clearly not her, but she's acting like exactly like her. Like she has her cadence and tone down. That's bizarre. Maybe she's just doing a bit. Maybe it's funny. No, Brett Cooper's gone. She left. So Brett Cooper went and did her own thing. Highly successful at spreading bigotry and all that kind of shit on that corner of the internet. Meanwhile, we have Jeremy Boring, who released that video, who was like, while we are very sad for Brett to be leaving the Daily Wire, we know she will flourish in whatever venture she chooses to do. And because women are objects, we have replaced her with another one of her that you shouldn't even notice a difference. It'll be flawless. The numbers will speak for themselves. I don't know what happened there. Like, what could it have been? You know, I thought it was the talented Mr. Ripley. Could be. Did Ben Shapiro buy him out? That wouldn't make sense. He generated a fuck ton of money for the company, so it doesn't make sense from a financial perspective for him to be just stepping away from it, from his baby that he's grown from its start. Lady Ballers, it's not, you can't flop when you are like the release platform, right? It's kind of like if there was a YouTube movie made by YouTube and released on YouTube and then got views on YouTube, and then you're like, that movie was shit. It's like, yeah, but like, did it fail? It's hard to know. It was released on YouTube, made by YouTube to promote YouTube, so that it's strange. And that was Lady Ballers, effectively. So there's that. It could be. I want to posit that maybe there's a sex scandal in there somewhere, or two, or three, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but it'd just be nice for that to exist and people to talk about it and for it to become a thing. So maybe it was, you know, sex crimes. Who knows? We could speculate wildly. I would like to state emphatically, I have absolutely no evidence to suggest that any of that is true whatsoever. I'm speculating wildly based on rumors that I myself am simply positing right now, asking questions, if you will, like a journalist. Could it be true? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if there's a lover's tryst involving multiple people, that cast members of the Daily Wire, and what took place there. We have no ways of knowing. Don't know if he exposed himself multiple times to underage staffers. Again, absolutely no evidence that ever happened. I'm just asking questions about whether or not that could be a possibility as to what occurred here. For a man who decidedly wrote a movie in which he inexplicably had women falling all over him the entire time. He's married, by the way, but it was weird that in Lady Ballers, like basically every female character would just see him and be like, "Did you want the vagina?" And then he would be like, "No, ew, you're a liberal. That's gross." And then be like, "Can I just fall all over you and show you my tits?" And he'd be like, "But no, I can't do that. You're a liberal. I have no interest in the liberal titties." But it is weird that every woman in this universe that I've invented myself seems to be hyper sexually attracted to me, and in every scene, anytime there's a woman, they're just like, "Ah!" And then I have to be like, "Oh no, thank you, no, I'm a Christian and a good man." It does really feel like he was working through a kink of some kind, and then just putting that into the movie itself, and then deciding that, hey, maybe, I mean, some people seek therapy. You got to do what you got to do. Again, very strange, very, very bizarre. I have no idea what to say about any of this. I was actually going to check out, is there a video about it on the Daily Wire channel? If that was the case, he would have asked for forgiveness from God. That is true. Okay, Daily Wire. Daily Wire Plus. Democrats respond to Trump and prove our point. No. Trump leaves Democratic speechless. No. Merch Madness. No. The greatest AI commercial ever made. No. Daily Wire wins the fight. A decade of fighting. Maybe that's it?
Protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This is a giant victory for the right and a complete reversal of the trend of social leftism from where it was even 5 years ago.
What is a woman?
What is a woman?
What is a woman?
What is a woman? What is a woman? Can you tell me that?
Controversy continues to spread.
Why aren't you 60? You can't magically change your gender. You can't magically change your sex. You can't.
Nothing here. Oh, Candace Owens is currently interviewing
She
Jeremy
had personally recommended Reagan to me. Before she told me she wanted to leave the show, she had personally recommended Reagan to me and told me that
was something that the public flagged as this seems like caged emotion. Take a listen.
what Reagan hasn't done is taking acting classes to be more like Brett Cooper. That is just completely absurd, and it's hurt my feelings a little bit that Brett hasn't done more to defend her friend Reagan. You know, Brett chose to leave the show. It was her idea, her stated desire to leave the show and to leave the company. She had personally recommended Reagan to me. Before she told me she wanted to leave the show, she had personally recommended Reagan to me and told me that if she ever did.
I do love that. I do love that that hurt his feelings. A lot of people were questioning whether or not that we actually got this person to try and clone Brett Cooper in, like, you know, all her mannerisms, and it was extra strange that it happened to be her best friend. So we got her best friend to basically imitate her, and yeah, you would have to spend hours upon hours upon hours of watching your best friend perform and then sit there and then repeat the words she was saying to try and sound like her, so that when she effectively tried to take over, no one would really notice, because again, women are just objects who are interchangeable. But that hurt my feelings. That was not part of the plan.
Lead the show, Reagan would be a great person to consider to host it, and that at any rate I should give something to Reagan because she should be on screen talent. And I know that most of these attacks on Reagan are completely unfair. They're completely disingenuous. People aren't really raising these criticisms. They're either helping to craft or buying into a narrative which has been crafted by people who want the Daily Wire to fail and want Reagan to fail in the role, and both will be disappointed because Reagan will not fail in this role, and the Daily Wire will not fail. We continue to grow and we continue to succeed.
Reagan will not fail. The Daily Wire will not fail. It just seemed like he was saying too much. Nobody wanted the Daily Wire to fail. Nobody wanted Reagan to fail. It's okay sometimes when something goes out and it's just not the response that you expected or anticipated it was. And that kind of got the rumor mill going. And it was then rumored that the Daily Wire was looking to sell, or rather, I shouldn't say it was rumored, they were not closed off from a sale. That came from Jeremy directly. He gave that to Axios in a statement, and I can show you. Axios reported, quote, between the lines, asked about a deal with Fox. Boring said the company isn't actively looking for a buyer, but we're not closed off to an offer. It's easy, and then this is a quote from Jeremy, it's easy to imagine a strategic partnership with Fox or someone like Fox that could be mutually beneficial. I think that we complement Fox and don't compete with Fox, he added, noting Daily Wire's audience is primarily young.
I'm going to be honest with you. That whole experiment was a fucking disaster. So just for context, the comment section, which used to be the comment section with Brett Cooper, has nearly 4 million subscribers, and they're getting less views than I get on the Serf Times that doesn't even have 100,000. Almost there, though. We're less than 1,000 subs away from 100,000, so keep going, folks. But 20,000 views, 19,000 views, 16,000 views, 27,000 views. This one is the most successful. Meghan Markle's Netflix show is a disaster with 50,000, but still not that much. 25,000, 20,000, 25,000, 36,000, 20,000, 20,000, 19,000. Apple's iPhone glitch. Racist turns into Trump. 19, 26, 26, 18. For context, if you have 4 million subscribers, then if only a quarter, 25% of your viewers were watching these videos, how much is that in the math, folks? You should be getting 1 million views if 25% of your viewers were watching your videos. When Brett Cooper was the host, she was getting anywhere from 300,000, 500,000 to 2 million views per video. And that has dropped down to 20,000. So it would appear that most people were not watching it because of her tone and cadence alone. They liked Brett Cooper, and they wanted to see Brett Cooper. And when they were like, we can clone her, because, again, women are interchangeable. It's the message. The message is what everyone wants. Maybe the voice. Can you be Brett Cooper? Can you do a Brett Cooper? I don't know. She's my best friend. I went to her wedding. That would be kind of weird and creepy, wouldn't it? No, just clone her, be her, become her, become Brett. And then we could see the numbers and see if they do well. But nope, not worked out. And it just hasn't really gotten past the 20,000. So this is unsustainable in terms of, like, you know, the amount of money that they're paying her, whatever her salary is or whatever Brett's was, unless they're underpaying her. Maybe that's it, just for her chance to become the new Brett Cooper. Maybe that was a part of it. So back 2 months ago, things were okay. What happened here? Why did you fall off so hard? Because now 144, 137, I mean, definitely not the same, but these are the numbers you should have been experiencing. But then the last Brett Cooper video, 1.5 million. Then down to 400,000. Oh, because this is right after the transition. So people were still kind of like, is Brett back? No. 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 And then that became less and less obvious until eventually it's like, oh, she's just gone. Okay, so what are we stuck with? Yeah, fuck that noise. Okay.
And more coastal urban. So it seemed like, I don't know, how would you read that statement? I read that as, hey, we're kind of looking for someone to maybe show some interest in a strategic partnership. That's exactly what he's explicitly stating, which it seemed to me to be unusual because they had been kind of, or at least while I was at Daily Wire, painting a vision into the future. We're going to take over Disney. And now it's kind of like, oh, maybe we'll partner with Fox and, you know, we're not closed off from a sale sort of a thing. And this was followed, and this was recently. And what I'm going to show you is literally just the last 2 weeks of Jeremy's tweets. There's just a lot of emotion coming from Jeremy Boring towards people that I would say, generally speaking, don't have a lot of issues with others. Like, these are not people that you expect are going to have fights picked with them. They're not confrontational people, so to speak. I mean, and people are all texting and rumbling.
Ooh, I'm so happy there's so much drama happening behind the scenes. Okay, well, let's see them. Jeremy says, yesterday was a terrible day for American Jews. The embrace by so many prominent voices of demented, conspiratorial, anti-Jewish voices is one of the saddest, most alarming events in my lifetime. This way lies madness, and worse than madness. Do not let the times cost you your soul. Audience capture and unchecked tribalism are the tools of the devil. Paranoia and revisionism are too, even if they are out to get you. Heck, even a righteous cause can lead us to evil if we don't guard our hearts in that quest. The wicked often prosper, and the temptation to prosper often tempts us to join them. But only God offers the richness of salvation, and He already became for us the only Jewish scapegoat for our sin and fear. Leave the rest of them alone. I have no idea what this is about. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah. Is this about the whole Nazification thing? Because if it is, I don't think it is. But if it is, you kind of got to believe people when they tell you who they are. I mean, in the case of Trump and Elon and all these people doing Hitler salutes, yeah, typically Nazis not very big friends of Jewish people, but I don't know if it's that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what's taking place here.
Yesterday was
I don't know if I want to hear Candace Owens' opinion on this, though, because she's a raging anti-Semite, like an actual anti-Semite, like someone who spreads anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. She's talked about how Jewish degeneracy is the cause of so many problems, how they control all the media and try to manipulate us. Like, she's an actual racist who hates Jewish people. So she's not really well equipped to talk on the topic.
terrible day for American Jews. We're talking about Joe Rogan and Theo Von, okay? The embrace by so many prominent voices of demented, conspiratorial, anti-Jewish voices.
Holy shit, it is. If that is actually what he's referencing, because if you didn't know, right now, Joe Rogan has had just a rotation of straight up, like, Nazi Holocaust deniers on his show, and Joe Rogan is starting to talk like them. Like, surprise, surprise. But he's having these people on, who Tucker Carlson has also had on, who are, again, extreme anti-Semitic, fucking scary-ass, fucking, racist pieces of shit, who are talking about how, like, oh, Hitler didn't actually, hate, Jews in the way he's meant to be portrayed. He actually cared about Germany, and he loved Germany so much, and he was actually about protecting Germany. And you got Joe Rogan, fucking, Meathead Supreme, sitting there like, whoa. No, bro, no way. Fast forward an episode later, Joe Rogan is actually saying things like, hey, it's totally fine for people to say, that China is filled with Chinese people. So why is it wrong to say that Poland is filled with white people? And I'm saying, that's what Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes and Stefan Molyneux say. You are repeating nearly verbatim what white supremacists and Nazis say. This is happening real fast. I don't know if that's what this is in reference to. If it is, well, I mean, like, where did you think this was all headed? Like, where did the right think? Like, yeah, white supremacists and racists are going to be white supremacists and racists. They're going to do horrifying things. They're going to say horrifying things, racist things. Like, they're going to spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Absolutely.
It's one of the saddest, most alarming events in my lifetime. This way lies madness, and worse than madness. That, I think, if you are a person and you watched the conversation between Ian Carroll and Joe Rogan and me and Theo Von, you didn't get that. Like, that wasn't you didn't do that. You didn't put your head down and sports. I would say 90.
What's going on here? This seems out of nowhere from the Daily Wire, given the fact that it's separated from Candace Owens. If Trump took this on right now, it would sabotage and overshadow other agendas. I believe Chauvin was wrongly convicted, but the timing of this campaign seems out of place. Ben Shapiro, pardon Derek. It's tough. If you're going to be playing the game of let's do the white supremacism, because, the white supremacists aren't necessarily fans of Jewish people. But at the same time, if you want to be close in proximity to white supremacists, you might have to start participating in campaigns like, maybe we need to pardon Derek Chauvin, the white supremacist who murdered a black man in cold blood by strangling him to death with his knee. I guess if you want to be a right winger and keep playing the game, you're going to have to kind of acknowledge the people you've gotten in bed with, and they're quite horrifying, quite gross.
8% of what he comments on is sports. So he responded to Ben's, okay, let's right response to here, Stephen A. Smith. Someone refresh my memory.
If Ben Shapiro cured cancer, Jason Whitlock would find something in it to bitch about. Also, they're all, okay, good. I'm glad they're all fighting. This is good. This, again, because there's no one coming to save us. I hope you realize, in terms of like, oh, well, the Democrats will come back in the midterms. Sure, they will. I mean, as they are now, they seem to be in a very effective apparatus for pushing up against bigotry and fascism. They seem well equipped for the moment. Pending that, it kind of seems like we have to kind of fend for ourselves and really hope that there's just going to be so much infighting between all these groups that realize that they can't work together, since they're all being taught to hate one another constantly. I mean, it's an entire foundation based on hate. right? This whole like, oh yes, we're marching towards Nazism. Well, yeah, the white supremacists do not like Jewish people. The Jewish people don't seem to like black people. The black people don't seem to like the Jewish people. Like everyone here is fighting each other. Seems like an overreaction. Seems like something LeBron fan would say about me or Stephen A. Smith. Someone refresh my memory. How often do I discuss Shapiro? This seems really overcooked. I'm asking legit questions and Jeremy is lobbing personal attacks. Weird. I'm not allowed to question. More fighting. You're allowed to do whatever you want, which typically involves being a dick towards us any chance you get. And hashtag just asking questions is a cowardly grift. If you want to make an accusation, be a man and make it. More tea? Candace has all the tea. Oh, there's more tea. There's no effort on the American right to prevent Christians from declaring the truth that Christ is king. There's an important effort to encourage Christians to be discerning about the motives of some malefactors who would exploit the language of faith in order to foster evil. There is a reason Jesus Christ, the King, says that not everyone who calls him Lord will be saved. There is a reason an entire commandment warns against carrying his name in vain. Anyone who says Christ is King because they believe Jesus of Nazareth is the King of Kings, the Son of God, and the risen Lord, in whom is found forgiveness of sins and life eternal, is proclaiming the awesome and terrifying truth of the gospel. Anyone who says Christ is King to assert their dominance over others. By the way, this is the CEO of $1 billion company. Like, if there was someone at a bus stop who started talking like this, I would take a different bus. I'm going to be completely real with you. Yeah. It's just going to be a long ride, you know? Anyone who says Christ is king to assert their dominance over others or create tribal divisions and foster hatred of outsiders is not proclaiming the Prince of Peace, but the father of lies. In vain do they carry the name of the Lord, and Christ they declare, the Antichrist who would have your soul. Fortunately, it isn't hard to tell one from the other, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. I think this is right-wing subtweeting. I think. I don't know. Mucho texto. Probably a simpler way to say this. But I feel like you're subtweeting about somebody or something. I can't discern what, though. It's too much religious gibberish for me to get through here. All right. Tucker Carlson begins to question whether it was preferable that the Allies won World War II after seeing the effects of mass migration. Oh man, it really sucks, you know. We wanted to basically promote Christian values, conservatism, but more and more the people we're hanging out with, specifically white people, they're all going very Hitler, and I don't know if we all see eye to eye anymore. Odd time. So Jeremy says, I predicted in January of 2024 that Tucker would conclude America was the bad guy in World War II. I'm not a prophet. It's just been clear for a long time where this was going. I hate to be the one to say this, Jeremy, but if you go for dinner and at the dinner table, a Nazi sits down, then you don't kick him out. If you don't say, oh, fuck you, the Nazis have no place here, then it's a table of Nazis. Even if you might not like Nazis, but if you tolerate a Nazi hanging out with you, then it's a bunch of Nazis going for dinner. Unfortunately, just reality, right? It's why most people who abhor or despise Nazis would want nothing to do with them whatsoever at any point. But I guess part of the project was getting to where you are now, where, again, Donald Trump is taking over, dismantling the government, doing full fascistic shit. The richest men in the world are becoming infinitely more powerful. Elon Musk gets to basically carve out and excavate what little wealth remains in the U.S. government to be able to use for his own devices and to train his AI to basically be racist and take over the planet. So that's happening right now. So you got to that point. You achieved the fascism. But it turns out like a lot of the people who wanted that along the way were actually fascists and white supremacists and Nazis. And now it's like, well, I don't know how I feel about these people anymore, though, because it seems they're all going real far right real quick, right? Yeah, don't get me wrong. I, too, am horrified to sit back and watch the things that are coming out of Tucker Carlson's mouth or goddamn Joe Rogan. You know, sitting there watching Joe Rogan speak to an actual Holocaust denier about how Hitler was misunderstood and how elements, you know, of, his actions were based on his love for Germany. That's fucked. That's very scary. And honestly, it's something that I think Spotify should have to reckon with, because Spotify, you are promoting now a Holocaust denier. You are a Holocaust denying network. That's where you've gone. I would assume at this point that like supporting a lot of these organizations financially, if you have a Spotify account, you are directly supporting, again, them broadcasting this shit to the world. They're the ones that make the Joe Rogan podcast possible now.
Where this was going. And actually, if you watch the clip, Tucker says no such thing. And so it just becomes a question of announcement, which he should do. I want to be clear. This is exactly what Ben should do. And this is the way it should happen. And these things shouldn't happen on Twitter. But again, for your best friend, and many times that Jeremy has said, I'm his only friend, it feels like there's something more than that. We head into the...
We couldn't be more excited. Jay's longtime partners in defensible leadership, creative talent, tremendous talent. We're going to be thrilled to have more of his creative focus in the business. Next phase of expansion. Can't wait to see what he does next. That's all there.
Going to be hosting backstage. So that's interesting. That just came from Axios. And some reactions. Obviously, we're doing the show live. We have, first and foremost, obviously, everyone's looking to see what Brett Cooper...
His only friend? Well, I mean, like, who would ever want to spend time with this man? I'm sorry. Do you want to sit in a room where someone feels that he's the most intelligent person in the circle and also is spreading vile hatred? Like, how long are you going to sit there before he's like, and another thing, and the gay people are degenerates and sinful, and they eat feces. And then you're like, well, that sucks. By the way, that Dave Rubin, did you know he, oh, right, yeah, he's gay. He's not allowed. We can't have him here. No.
Would say largely felt like she remained silent on her exit, maybe because she had to remain silent on her exit, we don't know, but she tweeted this in response to the news, a gif of Jimmy Fallon kind of looking like he wants to burst out laughing and then just sort of nodding. And
oh, so much tea. I had no idea this was all going down. So Brett Cooper is laughing at the Daily Wire's CEO stepping down after she got booted from the network. There's something happening behind the scenes here. Something happening. Both Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring seem to have a lot of drama that is yet to be exposed, and it's all falling apart. I don't know if it involves the Snow White movie that they had apparently filmed, produced, and were making, and then just that whole project got dropped. Brett Cooper was Snow White, by the way, but that's not getting released anymore. I don't know if that cost a lot of money and that didn't get. Don't know if Lady Ballers cost too much money, or maybe they spent a fuck ton of money on a script that Jeremy Boring was just really enacting once again his sexual fantasies through, and that effectively was something where they had to recalibrate. Or maybe it's just the circular firing squad that's going down right now. So, you know, it could be that as well.
And I think that Jason...
That, you know, they're looking into what exactly the future is with entertainment. I don't know if Jeremy Boring was directly behind or, you know, the cause of people like Brett Cooper leaving. But let's not forget, he had a pretty public feud with Brett Cooper, saying that she hasn't defended other people on the show. You know, the Daily Wire has lost probably 50% of their shows and 60% of their viewership. Matt Walsh is still very popular. Ben Shapiro is less popular now, but still obviously a huge draw. Candace was a rising star. They lost her. And Brett Cooper was probably their biggest rising star, and they lost her. And both of those happened in the last, you know, month or so. When you look at Twitter's reaction, they don't seem all that surprised. Jeremy Boring has resigned as CEO of the Daily Wire. The company's rapidly declined since losing Candace Owens and Brett Cooper. Maybe new leadership will stop censoring the host if they disagree with Ben Shapiro. I mean, it's possible. But a guy that calls himself God King probably does not step down as CEO willingly.
And in terms of rumors and innuendo, Ian Carroll, who obviously was at the receiving end.
Gotta be honest, Candace. If you don't know, Candace Owens has effectively blown up online, becoming one of the most famous far-right reactionary conservative podcasters, YouTubers, whatever you want to call it, in large part due to her coverage of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and pulling in a monstrously huge audience of women which she never had before. She actually used to have a predominantly male audience of people who were obviously going to skew to the more racist side of people who want to watch someone who effectively tries to talk about how Black Lives Matter is a scam, how George Floyd was a drug addict, and we shouldn't be venerating these people and all this kind of stuff. But through the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively scandal, she actually began to curate a monstrously huge new audience, which pulled in a lot bigger people, and she dwarfs the live viewers of the Daily Wire now. I mean, I think she's got on this live stream 47,000 viewers. Candace Owens, like fucking, she dwarfs Hasanabi. Like, she has become an absolute titan of conservative reactionaries, solely based on, again, growing so rapidly by doing coverage of the Justin Baldoni stuff. But the fact that, like, she's also been praised as such like an incredible reporter, while at the same time uses Jeremy Hambley of the Quartering as a source, it's quite funny.
Of some, I guess you could call it strong words from, Jeremy Boring has put together a video. Now, he has had a very interesting leg into the Daily Wire. I found out a lot of stuff about my own firing that I didn't know because of Ian Carroll. That was kind of the first time that I had really heard about him. And he had insight from employees about things and that I didn't know that were happening behind the scenes. And here's what he is reporting is happening at the Daily Wire. Take a listen.
The Daily Wire is going bankrupt, allegedly, and Jeremy Boring is...
Oh, he's another fucking massive ass anti-Semite. This motherfucker, he was not on my radar as one of the assholes to worry about until he popped up on fucking the Joe Rogan Experience. Now I see him all over Twitter, and he seems to be the racist that people turn to for vaccine conspiracy theories if you're not looking for an RFK Jr. type, but you want just he's a guy who questions the mainstream narrative, and he cares about the Epstein files. And he cares a lot about catching pedophiles. He's just like a working man, blah, blah, blah. The dude fucking is totally fine with Andrew Tate. So no, he doesn't care about pedophiles. He's actually a pedophile protector. He's, let's just say he has discerning taste in his pedophiles. He prefers some pedophiles over others. So he will criticize Epstein, but he certainly will not criticize properly Andrew or Tristan Tate. They seem to be totally cool. They're just misunderstood bros, right? He will be fine, I guess, with Donald Trump. Well, at the same time, Donald Trump is Epstein's best friend. So that's also weird. And he's also one of the people who's he loved RFK Jr. until RFK Jr. wrote that op-ed about vaccines when it came to measles, being vaccines are a personal choice. And I do want to say that while I am, part of the whole anti-vax movement, these are different. These are MMR vaccines, which are different than mRNA vaccines. And so these ones aren't the bad ones. And so honestly, we can't simply discount measles vaccines. They've actually been pretty effective in reducing measles in their totality. So maybe they're not that bad. And then he immediately was like, what the hell? What's going on, RFK Jr.? You know what the truth is? The truth is now 1 in 25 children have autism. Why don't you talk about that? Why won't you talk about the truth? And then it's Jesus Christ, this guy is abhorrent. But of course, Joe Rogan loves him. Brought him onto the Joe Rogan Experience. We can talk about how not enough people talk about who controls the media. They...
officially out as CEO. That's right. The self-proclaimed God King of the Daily Wire is at the heart of so many scandals. And yes, he is self-described as the God King. And the email just went out today internally that he is stepping down, and now Axios is covering the story. It has not yet broken, as far as I'm aware, that private equity is moving in and looking to buy up the Daily Wire. I heard, rumor mill, that Silver Lake Capital is looking to buy them up. And yo, Silver Lake, you guys might want to watch this video before you think too hard about it, because there's a lot that is not in the public square right now. We're about to get into stuff like canceled credit cards, lying to the press, trying to trick Tim Pool. As far as I can tell from my sources, even people inside of the Daily Wire only know part of the story, and they're all kind of getting played against each other. It's a whole mess. And the most important part of this mess is that the Daily Wire has a long history of treating their employees like shit. And so I've had numerous sources inside the Daily Wire for...
I hate the Ian Carroll guy for so many reasons, even the vibe. Yeah, it sucks. Everything about him sucks. He's just a garbage human.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/theserfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.